All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Workshop Wednesday. Today, we have a very special guest speaker, Patel from UCLA Ambassador Program, and he's going to tell us a bit about his experience at the UC, specifically UCLA. And at the end, we'll turn off the recording and open it up for Q&A. All right, without further ado, Calvin, I'll let you take it over.
Thank you so much. All right, just give me 1 second to get this started up. Let me get my presentation pulled up and then we can get started. All right, now let me get this in presenter view. Perfect. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. All right, can everyone see my screen? Is everyone cool? Sounds perfect. And also during the presentation, if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat and then I'll address them at the end. Just so I can get through everything because I just want to be aware of your time. And you know, don't want to keep you guys over for too long. How much time do I have? Just so I can kind of work around that.
We have an hour dedicated, but if you want to talk for as long as you want, then we can open up for Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. It shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. Perfect. All right. So, oh, oopsies. Cool. All right. So, hey everyone. My name is Calvin Patel. Just a little bit about me before we get started. I am a current third year, so it's a junior at UCLA. I study neuroscience at the College of Letters and Science. I don't know if the College of Letters and Science isn't a different school. At UCLA, we have different classifications based off of what you study. So my major falls under the classification of College of Letters and Science. So if you ever hear that about schools, like, oh, I'm in this college, but then you're like, but you go to UCLA, like, how are you in 2 colleges? That's what it means. But yeah, so I kind of want to talk a little bit about what I consider to be my second home, and hopefully this could be something that you would consider your second home in the future. So before I get started, I kind of want to talk about a few of the alumni that have truly exemplified the UCLA values and kind of gone off to do great things for the world. For example, maybe some of these faces are familiar, but one in particular that I love to mention is Tom Bradley. So Tom Bradley, if you guys aren't aware, was the mayor of Los Angeles, and he was also a UCLA alum. And the thing that he's most notable for is that he brought the Olympics to Los Angeles, and he was nominated for mayor for multiple years in a row. So these are just some of the leaders and pioneers we have at UCLA. But the ones I like to talk about are Mian Malik and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I don't know if you guys are basketball fans or if you follow the Lakers, which is my favorite team. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was one of the most proficient and amazing basketball players of his generation in time. But he also studied at UCLA, and what he studied was history. So a lot of people aren't aware that he was actually a history major at UCLA, and he wrote his own books. So although he's known for his skyhooks and his amazing basketball skill, he was also a great writer and a great historian. Now, if you have any Big Bang Theory fans, you guys are aware of who Mian Malik is. She does play a neuroscientist in the show. But did you guys know that she also has a PhD in neuroscience from UCLA? So a lot of people aren't aware that a lot of stuff that she talks about on the show is factual, and she is more than credible for all that sources. I'm just studying neuroscience. It's my third year, but she's been studying for 10 years, which is pretty insane. And she's acting, so kind of just really made the most of her time at UCLA. But these are some of the leaders and pioneers of our generation that have called UCLA their home, just like I am doing right now. So here at UCLA, one of the most important things that defines all of these leaders and alumni that I talked about was the academic opportunities they had. These academic opportunities is what truly gave them the opportunity to go and progress into the future and really make a mark on the world. So some of the professors I want to mention really quickly is Charlene Villaseñor Black and Aiden Ocean. I know it's pronounced Oscan. I made that mistake for years. It's pronounced Ocean. So Charlene was the winner of the 2016 Golden Shield Faculty Prize, and she was recipient of many grants, such as the grants from the Getty, American Council of Learned Societies, Fulbright, Mellon. I can go on and on, but she's one of our humanities professor. And it's just esteem how she's progressed so much in her work, and she teaches here too. So if anyone's interested in humanities or cultural arts or anything of that sort, she is the professor for you. Um, but the professor that I love talking about the most is Aiden Ocean. He is one of the best inventors of our time, and Popular Science magazine even named him one of the world's most brilliant inventors. With over 36 patents and 26 patents pending, it's pretty insane how much he's done with his time here at UCLA. One notable invention that I like to talk about is the camera microscope that you can put on your phone. So what that is, it's basically a microscope, but you screw it onto the back of your phone. And now your phone acts as one of those microscopes that you would have in your chemistry classes. So if you've ever worked with those or examined cells, you can basically do it from your phone now. But the unique thing about that was that he didn't do it by himself. Students just like me during their undergraduate time helped with the making of that microscope, and they all got published together. So if you ever look up that research, you can see students' names that helped make that. And that goes on to my next topic of undergraduate research. So research is something that a lot of people associate with only biology or chemistry or physics, working in labs, working with chemicals, trying to find out the mass of something, or making robots, for example, like on the bottom right with a robotics club. But that's not the case. The majority of our students graduate with research experience. So over 50% of our students have research experience before they graduate, but not all of them are these science or chemistry or math majors. A lot of them are art majors, a lot of them are philosophy majors, history majors. So research isn't limited to the field of science. So for example, we have some of our environmental science majors. On the top left, you can see someone doing research on the different biomass and biodata of trees and different biomes and different forestry, basically. And it's kind of a unique experience because research is something that can truly define your experience wherever you go. The thing I love most about it is that I'm not limited to some curriculum or some lecture. I'm able to, do research and make it my own. So some of the research labs that I'm in, I am a neuroscience major, so my research is science-based or STEM, as we call it. And one of the research projects that I'm in is called the reconstruction project. So basically what I do is I work with neurons and I work on software programs and I basically reconstruct neurons from brain models, which is a super cool thing. I never imagined that one day I would be able to have a neuron on my own computer and just be like, all right, let's make this. So I've had such a great time with research experience. And I've also been able to work with mice and rats and do surgery with them, which is super cool and super unique. So research is something that, isn't limited. And honestly, we encourage you to do research because we have over $1 billion in research funding, which is an insane amount. So please go out, wherever college you go to, whether it be UCL or not, please participate in research. And it'll make your experience that much better. So I spoke a lot about research and I spoke about my major. So I am a neuroscience major. But just in the chat, if anyone could drop, does anyone know the difference between what a major and a minor is? I'll give you guys a second just to think about that. And honestly, if you don't know, it's completely okay. I know it's a pretty random question to ask, but I'll just go into it so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But so what a major is, the way I like to define it is a major is something that is catered towards what you want to do in your future, in your career, for example. I am a neuroscience major, so I am interested in going into medicine, hopefully into neurosurgery one day. So therefore, my major is kind of catered towards my future in medicine and neuroscience. What a minor is, it's not particularly catered towards a career, but it can either supplement it or it can be something completely different. I know a lot of students that are majoring in neuroscience, but then are studying Chicano and Chicana studies as a minor. Completely two unrelated things, but it's just something they want to learn more about, something they're interested in. And so they minor in it because they want to spend time with it, but they don't want to spend the majority of their time on it. They want to focus on their major. So you're able to major and minor in as many things as you want, really. I think one student I know, he's a triple major. He's majoring in 3 different things. Completely insane. I probably won't recommend that. I'm majoring in one thing and it's already a lot. So usually a lot of students major and minor. So you're able to kind of, study something that you want to do in your future, but also study something for fun, like, different languages. For example, you study German, study French, study Italian, study educational studies, global health studies, whatever you want, really. There's 90 different minors and over 125 different majors. So the possibilities are truly endless. So I know a lot of you are aware of the stereotype that college classrooms are huge. And you're not wrong, but you're also very wrong at the same time. um, the majority of our classes in college are less than 30 student classrooms, so even smaller than some of your high school classes. I know when I went to high school, my classes were about 30 to 35 students, but coming to college, a lot of my classes were about 20 to 25 students. And the way a lot of these classes are laid out, it's in this thing called lecture discussion format. So what it is, you have this giant lecture hall. So yes, they do exist. You do have big lecture halls where you can study with hundreds of students. But then you also have these small discussion sections for the class. So for a lot of my classes, what I have is I have 2 lectures a week, which are these large lectures, but I also have 1 discussion a week. And in the discussion, we have these people called teaching assistants or TAs, which work with the professor, and you can work one-on-one with them about the material of the course. So if anything, I felt more personalized. I felt like I had a more personalized education experience at college than I did in high school because I was able to work one-on-one with these TAs and learning assistants and professors really. So if anything, I really liked the layout and I felt like I've had a truly immersive experience. So, like I mentioned, 2 out of 3 of our classes, so almost 70% of our classes have less than 30 students, and we have an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which says a lot because our school has over 30,000 students. So with that, you have a lot of faculty to represent a really small amount of students. And I mentioned the small discussion groups that meet weekly. Um, but also a little bit of a fun fact. Does anyone want to take a guess at what our largest lecture hall holds? How many students do you think our largest lecture hall holds? I'll give you guys a second to kind of just take your guess. Just drop any number in the chat. 800. Oh, okay. Wow. 750. Oh, 1,000. Okay. There's some solid guesses. 150. Okay. Cool. 360. All right. 600. Okay. You guys can drop it in the main chat. You don't have to direct message me, just so um, everyone can see it too. 400. Okay. So Tizita, hopefully I pronounced that right, was the closest. So our largest lecture hall holds 442 students, which is, might be kind of surprising. You probably expected more than that, but no, we really believe in that immersive experience, and we really want to make sure that your education isn't shadowed by large amounts of students or, by just large classroom settings. It's really not what we're about at UCLA. So coming in as a freshman, I know that it can be kind of scary because when I was in high school, I was used to the semester system, and UCLA works on the quarter system. So if any of you guys don't know what the difference is, a semester you have 2 blocks basically of schooling, but in a quarter system you have 10-week periods in which you have to finish your set amount of coursework. Then the next 10 weeks is a different amount of set work, and the next 10 weeks is something else, and that can be really fast paced. Just like that, you can be on week 7 taking midterms or week 4 taking midterms, and then like 2 minutes later, it's a week 10, you're taking your finals and you're done with the class. And it can be really fast and it can be kind of scary because once you're done with those 10 weeks, you're moving on to another set of classes. And it's like new students, new professor, new faces going on. But coming in as a freshman, we have these um, classroom settings, which are called Fiat Luxes and clusters set in place to help that experience be a lot more smooth and that transition to be a lot more efficient and not as scary. So first I want to start with cluster classes. So like I mentioned, in quarter systems, each quarter you have a different set of classes and you're taking a different course with a different professor and different amount of students. What cluster classes do, it takes away that changing of classes. So what a cluster class is, it's a subject that covers a wide variety of themes. So for example, there's a cluster class on the brain, but what it does is studies the philosophy of the brain, the biology of the brain, the chemistry, the history of the brain. So it goes over a lot of multidisciplinary themes, but it's a year-long class. So you won't be changing your classroom, you won't be changing the professors, you won't be changing the students you're with. It's really similar to what kind of experience you have in high school. So that's one of the things we have in place that makes that transition from high school to college a lot more smoother. And now another thing that we have is called Fiat Lux seminars. So what Fiat Lux seminars are, they're not classes, but they're more of a seminar. They're worth 1 unit, which is pretty much very little, but these are all voluntary classes that professors do to teach something very specific to what they study. So for example, one of our statistics professor had a Fiat Lux seminar on statistics of poker. And all they did in the class was just play poker and figure out, statistics, like what are the chances of this hand winning? What are the chances of this hand winning? Is it worth, raising or calling or putting in more money for this, cards that are laid out and stuff. Super fun, a really chill and laid back experience, but you still get that feeling of being in a college classroom, and super small, 20 students max per seminar, and there's up to 200 different seminars per quarter per year. So a lot of options for you to kind of just get a feel for a classroom, but not necessarily go into the rigor and the hard work right away. So a lot of these classroom innovations are in place just to make that experience that much easier for you. So as much as you're going to learn from your professors, you're going to learn a lot from the students around you. Um, I grew up in the Imperial Valley, and the majority of the students I grew up with around were Hispanic. And I learned a lot about that culture, but coming to UCLA, I realized I didn't know much about culture at all. There was so much that I learned from just being in classroom and being in the dorms and being with different students, whether it be different Native American traditions or Chinese traditions, or even my own Indian traditions. I learned a lot more about me than I ever learned before, which was pretty crazy because I was surrounded by a lot of these individuals. And, we're just home to a very vibrant and diverse community. And, a lot of things UCLA does that I love is that they cater to a lot of these traditions. So for example, when it was Chinese New Year's, all the dining halls catered their food to traditional Chinese food. When it was Indian New Year's, all the dining halls catered their food to traditional Indian food. And it really makes you feel at home. You kind of get that experience that you really won't get anywhere else. I know I didn't get that experience when I was in high school. So coming to UCLA, I felt right at place. And some other things they do, UCLA will help rent out different halls and different areas for you to have your dances and have your performances, whatever you need to do for your culture. So for example, in my culture, we have this thing called Diwali, which is the New Year's basically. And what UCLA did is they helped rent out a hall in the UCLA campus, and we were able to celebrate there, which was a super amazing experience. It was open to everyone. A lot of people that knew nothing about the culture came and they learned a lot about it. So it's a super homely feeling, and I've never felt that appreciated before, which I really loved about being at college. So I talked a lot about coming to UCLA, but what if you just want to get out for a little bit? What if you want to go explore? And if that's the case, the study abroad program at UCLA is the one for you. I want to talk a little bit about my experience studying abroad. So as a freshman, the summer before my sophomore year, I studied abroad in Scotland. So I went abroad, went to Scotland, and I studied physics there. So the unique thing about this study abroad program for physics was that it was only an 8-week course, but I got a year's worth of UCLA credit for physics. So I never had to take physics again at UCLA once I finished that program, which was pretty insane. Not just the fact that I didn't have to take physics ever again, I don't like physics, but just experiencing that culture and meeting new people and traveling. I've always wanted to travel, but I knew that in college traveling was hard. So the study abroad program was the perfect opportunity for me to go and travel. Going to Scotland, specifically Glasgow, I was able to experience a whole different culture of, Scottish culture, Scottish traditions, meeting new people. Scottish people are really nice for some reason. I don't know why, but they're super cool, super nice people. And not only that, I made a lot of friends from different UCs. So this was a UC-wide study abroad program. So I met friends from UC Berkeley, UC Irvine, UC San Diego. And we kind of formed a little group and we went to different places while we were in Scotland. So we didn't just stay in Scotland. We went to London, we went to Amsterdam, we went to Barcelona, we went to Netherlands. We just traveled every week, every chance we got. And it's just such an amazing experience. I don't think I've ever had an experience like that before. So if studying abroad is something and traveling is something that you want to do, I would definitely recommend looking into this program. We go to over 40 different countries, whether it be Hong Kong, Salvador, Paris, Manchester, uh, Dakar, Singapore, you name it, really, they probably have it. But yeah, uh, all right. Is anyone here interested in traveling? I totally forgot to ask you guys. And if you are, what are some countries that you guys wanted to go visit? Just drop in the chat. Kind of want to read and learn more about you guys. But as you're doing that, I'll continue my presentation. So I think I mentioned a few times about dorm life, but living on campus was one of the coolest experiences I've had as a freshman. Um, I think the biggest thing that I was scared about coming in freshman year was being or finding my own place, if that makes sense. Kind of fitting in, finding a new group of friends because, growing up where I did in the Imperial Valley, all the friends I had, I was with since kindergarten. So now I basically had to learn how to make friends again. But that was probably the easiest thing I've ever done because everyone there is learning how to make friends. So, living in the dorms and living with, these people that are just excited to be at UCLA and just excited to make friends as you are makes that experience so much easier. I was able to, just the first week, I was able to make a group of friends that we were all the same age. We're all neuroscience majors. We all love basketball and we all loved eating. So, what we would do every weekend, every chance we get, we'd go down to the gym, we go play basketball, then we go to our dining halls and eat. And then we go down to this place called Diddy Reese, which was a really famous cookie place, a cookie ice cream place. And we get ice cream, and then we walk back to campus. Super cool experience. Those are still some of my closest friends to this day. It's my third year here, and I still hang out with them, talk to them as often as I can. Um, and the one thing I love to flex about UCLA is that we have the number one dining hall in the nation when it comes to college campuses. So our food is amazing. I'm talking about we have Mexican Asian fusion. We have basically a Panda slash Chipotle, Panda Express slash Chipotle fusion thing going on where you can build your own burrito or build your own Panda Express bowl. We have a healthy option if you're interested in that. Um, we have different Asian options as well. uh, there's so many. It's been so long since I've been on campus. I miss the food. If I had to go back to school, I would only go for the dining halls. It's just such an experience. And not only that, you have a lot of things you can do within the dorms as well. They have gyms, which is our gym is called BFit. We have a lot of study sessions. We have rooftop study sessions, as you can see in the picture in the top row. We have scooters as well if you just want to scoot around and just hang out with your friends. So living on campus is the best thing about college. And if you are going to come in as a freshman, please live on campus. Please live in the dorms. You will not regret any second of it. So now that I talked a lot about living on campus and about education, now some of the things that a lot of students are interested in is clubs and stuff. When I found out that UCLA had over 1,000 clubs and student organizations, I didn't believe it at first. I'm to be completely honest. It sounded like 1,000. Are you sure? Like, do you mean like 100 maybe? Because when I was in high school, I probably had about 30 to 35 clubs in my school total. So coming to college and knowing there was over 1,000 clubs and student organizations was just overwhelming at first. I was like, whoa, what do I do? Where do I go? What club do I join? This organization sounds cool. Oh, leadership organization. Oh, wait, acapella. Wait, dance. Wait, ultimate frisbee. So it was just so much, and that's one of the things I really loved about UCLA was that I was able to find a club, an organization that really catered to what I was interested in. So one of the clubs I'm in is called the Neuroscience Undergraduate Society. That was more of an academic choice. I wanted a club that really catered towards my major and helped me find research opportunities, help me learn more about the classes, help me get through, with whether it be tutoring or just knowing the professors, meeting them, talking about courses, talking about neuroscience stuff. It was a really great course and a really great club that I'm in. Another club that I mentioned, which was the Ultimate Frisbee, super fun team. We are a club team, so we still get to travel. So we travel to different UCs to compete against other schools. We travel all across California. We go to Las Vegas. Sometimes we go to Arizona. We just play ultimate frisbee. At first, it sounded kind of funny. I was like tossing a frisbee around, and then I realized it's really hard. So, um, and it was just such a cool experience. And also, one thing that I realized was that I don't have to join any of these clubs. I can make my own. And making a club or an organization on campus is probably the easiest thing you could possibly do. All you need is you and two other people to sign off on a document and establish a club. And that's it. Three people can make an entirely new organization on campus. So if one of the 1,000 clubs don't fit your need, that's completely okay. If anything, we encourage you to create your own organization. We really want you to feel at place here and feel at home. And there's just that opportunity of being able to create your own club or join one of the thousands of clubs or organizations. Just it's just an experience, really. So I mentioned a little bit of athletics, and I don't know if you guys have been following the UCLA basketball team, but we are in the Final Four now. No one expected it. I don't even think we expected it. We came in as one of the lowest seeded teams as well. Um, but here we are in the Final Four, which is absolutely insane. But and our athletic team is just as, if not more, amazing than our athletics. We were the first school to reach 100 NCAA Division One championships. Division One is the highest division you can be in, and we were the first school to reach that 100. And I think we are second overall right now, or we are tied for first with 119. So insane experience, just being able to see, your school just top every single other school. If your friend goes to another school, it's okay. We'll take care of them in athletics. Your school, your friend goes to UCI. All right, fine. We'll beat them in every single sport. It's just such a cool experience. And then not only that, it's just the student section as well is always hyped. We're always cheering on. We always have weird random things like those balloons with colors, with little confetti cannons. Um, and the student section is always packed, especially during the football games. So not only will you be able to watch these teams, you'll be able to experience and live it. On the top left, our gymnastics team is just absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys saw the viral video with Caitlin Ohashi when she did her routine. Insane. So, just things like that you get to live in the moment of before, it blows up and the world's just showcasing how crazy UCLA is. And you can be like, I was there. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's get out of the campus. I know I've talked a lot about it, but let's look at where UCLA is. So if you're familiar with the LA area, you'll know that UCLA is located in Westwood Village. Um, Westwood Village, the thing I love the most about it is that it gives you that LA lifestyle of just unique things going on without the crazy busyness of it. I know how crazy traffic and things can get when it comes to LA, but Westwood kind of takes that away. It's a very college orientated village or town basically, and a lot of people don't drive. A lot of college students don't have cars here, so not a lot of traffic, but a lot of fun. You have different places to go to, whether it be like the Hammer Museum, whether it be the Farmers Market every Thursday. And one unique thing is that there's a lot of movie premieres here. So a lot of the movies you'll see in theater, a lot of them will be premiered here in Westwood first before even going anywhere else. And the crazy thing is about that is that the celebrities or the actors in the movies come to watch it. So one of my friends he was not even supposed to be in Westwood. I think he had an interview somewhere and he was walking home. He walked past the movie premiere and he saw Morgan Freeman there. He's like, oh, that's so cool. But then randomly, some people came up with tickets. They're like, hey, we have some extra tickets for the movie premiere. You want to go? He's like, oh, okay. He called his roommates. Three of them went. They sat right behind Morgan Freeman while watching one of his movie premieres. That's just insane. I mean, meeting a celebrity is different. Watching a movie that he's in, that's just something else. So it's just experiences like that, and just that lifestyle in Westwood Village that's just incomparable to anywhere else. So even zooming out even further, so we have Westwood right there. The thing that makes UCLA's location so unique is just that it's in the middle of everything. So you're not too far, you're not too close to any of these really iconic places in LA, whether it be Hollywood, Beverly Hills, downtown, Westwood, Santa Monica. Everything's maybe 10, 15 minutes away. And the thing is, like, if you ever want to go to like Santa Monica or even Hollywood, we have these things called blue buses, where it's only a quarter trip and it'll take you to Santa Monica, and then quarter trip back. 50 cents to just go to Santa Monica with the beach, have a beach day with your friends, and then come back. Super fun, super great experience. Although UCLA has a lot to offer, this school, the city that it's in has just as much to offer. So just another little recap of the city of Los Angeles. I know you guys are probably familiar with it, but coming from a small town in El Centro in the Puro Valley, I was really overwhelmed at how much LA had to offer. So to this minute, I'm still appalled at like how much LA has and just how fun it can be. So now this is a little bit of a subtle flex, not so subtle flex, but we are the #1 ranked public university in the nation. So, you can always flex that and brag to your friends about that. Number 12 in the nation for public good, number 13 for top performer social mobility.
See a few other rankings. Number 14, and then for global universities. So in the globe itself, we're ranked 14. So we're still top 20. Even if it's not just in the United States, top 2, top 5. Something that I found really important was mental health when I came to college. I really love that UCLA did a lot to help with that and to help students, feel just as physically fit as mentally fit. There was a lot of counseling centers. There was a lot of, psych centers. There was a lot of places where I felt like I could go and talk to people and, ease that mental strain that college can give you. And it can be a lot. It can be really overwhelming really quickly. So, definitely take advantage of this wherever college you decide to go, whether it be UCLA or wherever you go. Please keep your mental health in check. That is one of the most important things when it comes to performing well in college. So, a little bit about going to college now that I mentioned it. Paying for college can always be of a concern for a lot of people. I know for me it was. But one of the things that I did that helped save a lot of money for me was financial aid. Um, please apply to FAFSA. And you can ask your counselors more about the process of applying to FAFSA, but it's basically free money that the government gives you. Never have to pay it back. Don't have to do anything with it. It just gives it to you to use for college. Um, and not only that, there's a lot of scholarship options through UCLA. So if your family's income falls under a certain threshold, your entire tuition can be covered, which is pretty insane given that college tuitions can run up to like tens of thousands of dollars. If you please take advantage of that. Please look into these scholarships. Each school has their own set of scholarships as well. And not only that, so when you are a senior applying to college, please submit your FAFSA before March 1st, because you also apply automatically to the Cal Grad Scholarship and you get more money off of that. So it's free money and your parents will love you for it. They will thank you if you apply to that. So please do. Save yourself some money. And, if you have questions about it, you can always talk to counselors at UCLA and they can always give you more information about it. Contact the financial aid office at UCLA. They'll be more than happy to tell you about all the options and how to apply. And it really goes to show, because a lot of our students graduate with no debt at all. And those that do have debt have $13,000 less than the average graduate. So we really want you to save money, and we don't want that to be of a concern when it comes to college. So now statistics. So I know a lot of you guys are juniors, so this is very important for you guys. Application opens August 1st. And so this is not just for UCLA. So UCLA falls under what is considered the UC application. So what the UC application is, it's one application, but you can choose whatever UCs you want to submit it to. So what you do is you fill out the application, you fill out all the forms, and at the end when you're submitting it, you choose which UCs you want to send your application to. So you can send it to only UCLA, you can send it to UCLA and UCSD, you can send it to every single UC if you wanted to. So keep that in mind, that there's not a specific application for UCLA, it's under the UC application, which is different from the common application. Those are two separate things. Common application applies to the majority of schools, UC application applies to only UCs. So keep that in mind when you're applying. And the application opens August 1st. So remember that. And your application has to be submitted in the month of November. So anytime within the month of November, make sure you submit that application. One thing that I know a lot of students worry about is that if I don't submit my application first, I won't be read first. That's not how it works. I know some schools may do that, but the UCs don't. So whether you submit your application November 1st or November 30th, it'll still be read randomly. So don't worry about having, submitting your application first or submitting your application, as quick as you can. Please take your time on it. Read through it. Have your counselor read through it. Have your teachers read through it. Have your friends read through it. Have random people read through it. Because the thing is about your application, about your personal insight questions, it's basically random people reading that have never met you. So if you have someone that doesn't really know much about you, or someone that's just, doesn't know a lot about your lifestyle, they can really give you a true impression on what your personal insight questions are and like how they rank against other personal insight questions they have read. So please take the time to write those thoroughly, write your application, have many people read it, and just don't rush it really. You have August, September, October, and November. You have 4 months to work on an application and submit it. Like I mentioned, the deadline for financial aid is March 2nd, and you will get your admission notification by late March. If you are a transfer student, which doesn't really apply to you guys right now, you get late April, but May 1st, if you do decide to come to UCLA, which you better come to UCLA, your deadline for freshman enrollment is May 1st. So that would all be covered later on after your decision. So don't worry about that. The main dates I want you guys to keep in mind is August 1st and the month of November. So I mentioned a little bit about the application process, but just to go a little more in depth about that, it is a holistic, individualized process. So what that means is that you are not compared to any other applicant when the application is read. I know that is something that some students are concerned about. They're like, what if they compare me to this student and I don't rank up and I'm not going to get another student gets in? Nope, not how it works. Each application is read individually by at least 2 people at the minimum. It's usually read by more. And what holistic means is that not one party application is weighed more than the other. So there is no threshold for GPA, no threshold for SAT scores, no threshold for AP scores, no threshold for the word count. It's really who you are as an individual. One thing I like to say is that UCLA doesn't admit the number, we admit the individual. You know, we're looking for leaders, people who engage in the communities, people who are passionate about things. And all achievements are taken into consideration, including non-academic accomplishments. One thing I like to say is that babysitting is actually considered, you know, pretty essential work because you're taking care of another human. So a lot of people will be like, you know, when you babysit your brother or sister, that's pretty important. Make sure you put that in your application. Talk about how, you know, you took care of someone you were responsible to. That shows responsibility. That shows trust. It's things like that that people think that you don't need an application. You only need a 4.0, and that's not the case. Really write about yourself. Be yourself. Don't be who you think we want you to be. Be who you are, and that's who will get into college. So a little bit more about the parts of the UC application. You have your academic history and your grades. All that is self-reported up until your decision. If you are admitted, they will require an official transcript afterwards just to confirm. But during the process, everything's self-reported, and all activities and achievements, you'll have sections to write about all of that, both in and out of the classroom. I mentioned a little bit about personal insight questions, but what those are 8 questions. You have to choose 4 of those questions to write about. And please don't choose the hardest question just because you think that's what we're looking for. Choose the questions that you can answer most truthfully and that most define you. Every question is weighed equally. Do not choose a hard question just because you think that's what we want. That is not what we want, and it will show in your application because that does not represent who you are. And you can also find these questions right now. If you type in UC application personal insight questions, you can find all of them even before the application opens. It's the same questions every year. Look for those. You can start thinking about it now. And if you're applying to certain programs, you will have supplemental applications. I don't want to go too much into depth about that because the UC application will cover that, but certain majors and certain programs at UCLA will have extra additional applications. But you can learn more about that if you want to at the universityofcalifornia.edu/apply. So hopefully, you know, after my rambling on about college, I know I just talk a lot sometimes, but it's just exciting, you know, being able to live in the moment and kind of experience UCLA firsthand. You know, every moment that I've been here has really been a truly remarkable moment. Every memory I've made has been, you know, a memory I'll never forget. And I really want you guys to have that same experience. So, you know, whether it be at UCLA or any other UC or really any other college, you know, or whether it not be college at all, I just want to make sure that you guys have the information that I can give you in order for you to make the best decision for yourself. So if you do want to visit UCLA, we do have a virtual tour option due to COVID, but you're also able to come onto campus and visit it yourself. But if you do want to take a virtual visit, you go to ucla.edu/visit. You can kind of take a virtual tour. They're just walking you through it right now. It's a 3D virtual tour. It's basically like you're there. You get to see everything, walk around, drag, look at stuff. Right now we're at Royce Hall, which is one of our famous halls. Yeah, walk around, look at it. All right, so that concludes my presentation. If you guys do want more information on admission stuff, please visit the website on top, admission.ucla.edu/info-perspective.htm. But if you have any personal questions just for me, you can always email me. My email is ambassadors12@admission.ucla.edu. Well, so I thank you guys for your time, but now I think we'll have some time for questions if you guys have any, and we can address them.
Thank you so much, Calvin. I'm going to stop recording right now.